The morning started like any other. Streets were busy, children laughed on their way to school, and the world turned, as it always did. But at exactly 9:07 a.m., the sunlight dimmed a knot, like a cloud passing overhead, but as if someone had drawn a curtain across the sky. Captain Maya Reynolds was flying her small cargo plane over the coast of California when her cockpit filled with a strange hum. It wasn't the sound of her engines. This was deeper, heavier, almost like the sky itself was vibrating. She frowned and checked her instruments. Everything looked fine, yet the light outside kept fading. "Control, this is Cargo 7, I think. Something's wrong with the sun," she said into her headset, trying to make her voice calm. She never got a reply. Instead, a shadow passed under her plane so huge, she thought at first it was a storm front. But storms didn't have sharp edges, and they certainly didn't move in perfect silence. Her breath caught in her throat. Below her, and stretching far beyond the horizon, was something that looked like metal. A shape so large it made the biggest aircraft carrier seem like a toy. It was a ship, an alien ship, and it was not alone. From horizon to horizon, enormous vessels slid into view, lowering through the clouds like mountains descending from the heavens. Each one was different, some round like giant silver spheres, others long and spiked like spears thrown by a god. They moved slowly, but with purpose, taking positions over every major city in the world. Down below, people were already screaming. Cars stopped in the streets, their drivers staring upward in shock. Phones shook in trembling hands as millions tried to record what they saw. Maya could only imagine the chaos happening on the ground. The alien ship above Los Angeles was close, enough for her to see patterns etched into its surface, swirling symbols, glowing faintly with a cold blue light. Then, without warning, the ship's underbelly opened, revealing a dark space like the mouth of a cave. From inside, a beam of light shot down to the city, brighter than anything she had ever seen. The beam wasn't fire, and it didn't explode. Instead, it shimmered, pulsing like a heartbeat. A voice came through, deep, metallic, and impossible to tell if it was male or female. It wasn't in English. It wasn't in any language Maya knew, but somehow the words crawled into her mind, forming meaning. "People of Earth, you belong to us now." Her stomach turned. The voice continued, slow and heavy, each word like a hammer. "You will be taken. You will serve. Resistance will not be tolerated." Maya's hands gripped the controls tighter. She had heard about invasions in movies, but nothing in her life had prepared her for this. The cold certainty that the voice carried. It wasn't a request. It was ownership. All over the planet, the same message played. In Tokyo, in Cairo, in New York, even in the smallest villages, where no one spoke the same language, every mind understood the words. The ships had made sure of that, but the aliens had made a mistake. They expected screams. They expected begging. They expected humans to bow instantly, just as other worlds must have done before. Instead, what they got was silence and uneasy. Heavy silence filled with more anger than fear. Maya's radio crackled again, this time with a human voice. "This is air traffic control. All pilots, return to base immediately." "Repeat, to base." The man's voice shook, but there was something else in it too. Defiance. Maya turned her plane toward the nearest airfield, her eyes never leaving the ship above. She didn't know who these aliens were, or why they thought they could take people like cattle. But she knew one thing: humanity had never been good at being told what to do. On the streets below, a boy no older than 10 stood in the middle of the road, holding his dog close, staring up at the giant shadow in the sky. His mother tugged at his arm, trying to get him inside, but he didn't move. His small voice whispered, "They can't take us." Maya didn't hear those words, but somehow she felt them. And she wasn't alone. Across the planet, billions of people were feeling the same quiet, rising thought. No, that was the first day the sky split open. It was also the first day the aliens learned that Earth was not a planet of servants. The night after the sky split open. No one slept. Cities glowed under the alien shadows, the giant ships hovering like dark moons that refused to set. The air carried a strange hum that wasn't wind or machinery, almost as if the world itself was holding its breath in a small government building in Washington. World leaders connected through urgent video calls. On one side of the screen sat generals in crisp uniforms, their eyes heavy from sleepless hours. On the other side were scientists, linguists, and diplomats, each trying to understand the enemy that had appeared without warning. The first real contact came at sunrise, across every radio, television, and even through devices that weren't turned on. The same voice spoke again, the one that had frozen the planet the day before. People of Earth, we require your labor. Your species will be relocated to serve the Zareth Empire. The voice was not loud, yet it carried into every room, every ear, every mind. It had no emotion, no mercy. In exchange for obedience, we will allow your planet to remain alive. Refusal will not be tolerated. Maya Reynolds sat in her apartment, her hands wrapped around a mug of coffee she hadn't touched. She had landed her cargo plane safely the previous afternoon, but the image of that giant ship over Los Angeles was burned into her mind. The television in front of her flickered. A new image appeared, a tall alien figure standing in what looked like a throne room made of black metal. His skin was a pale gray, his eyes glowing a faint blue. This was Vorak, the alien leader. He spoke again. We have no interest in your culture, your governments, or your history. You exist to work for us. You will be collected in cycles. You will not resist. The alien paused, as if waiting for humanity's acceptance. But what he got instead was the sound of news anchors speaking over him, translating his words into a dozen languages, their voices shaking but firm. The demands were clear. Humans between the ages of 15 and 50 would be processed. Entire families would be separated. Refusal would result in planetary enforcement. Dr. Elias Chen, one of the world's top linguists, sat in a hidden laboratory on the outskirts of New York. His job was to study the alien speech patterns, hoping to find weaknesses in their translation system. As he listened, he noticed something strange. The Zareth seemed to believe humans had a single leader, a single government, and could be commanded like one body. They didn't seem to understand that Earth was a patchwork of cultures, languages, and stubborn independence. They think we'll obey because we're afraid, Dr. Chen said to his colleagues. They don't understand what happens when we're cornered together. Across the world, people began to respond not with weapons, but with words and actions that quietly said, "We will not give you what you want." In a small town in Brazil, farmers stopped their work entirely, gathering in the fields just to stare up at the hovering ship above them. In India, entire neighborhoods turned off their power at night, disappearing into the dark so the aliens couldn't track their movements. In Chicago, a group of engineers started dismantling alien equipment they accidentally found left behind. Maya's phone rang. It was a number she didn't recognize, but she answered anyway. "Captain Reynolds," a deep voice asked. "This is Dr. Elias Chen. I was told you saw the ship up close. We need someone who isn't military to help us make contact." Maya frowned. "Why me?" "Because they expect soldiers," Chen replied. "They don't expect a cargo pilot with no weapons to stand in front of them. That's why they might listen." 2 hours later, Maya found herself in a secure bunker beneath an abandoned airport. Dr. Chen was there, surrounded by computer screens filled with alien symbols. He explained the plan. They would send a carefully worded message back to Vorak, not accepting his terms, but asking questions. Questions that might force him to reveal what he didn't want to. "What do you want me to say?" Maya asked. "Just one thing," Chen replied, typing as he spoke. "Ask them why." The message was sent through a frequency the aliens used. to broadcast their demands. For several minutes, there was no answer. Then, the image of Vorak appeared again, not towering and confident this time, but slightly curious. "Why?" Maya repeated, looking straight at him. "Why do you need us? Why come here? Why not ask instead of take?" For a brief second, the alien's glowing eyes dimmed. Then his expression hardened. "Because we are the Zereth. We take what we require." But in that single hesitation, Dr. Chen saw something important, something the aliens hadn't planned to reveal. They needed humans for a reason they weren't saying. Maya didn't know it yet, but that one word, why, was the first crack in the wall of the Zereth Empire. The Zereth Empire expected panic. They expected Earth to bow in a single day, just as countless worlds before had done. Instead, something else began to spread, something the aliens didn't understand. It began in whispers. In kitchens, on rooftops, in crowded apartments lit only by candlelight. People shared the same thought. Don't give them what they want. In Paris, factory workers showed up for their shifts but accidentally damaged every piece of alien machinery. In Kenya, farmers deliberately planted their fields in strange patterns, confusing the alien scanning devices that mapped the planet's resources. In Seoul, students began broadcasting short-coded messages through old radio towers, using languages and slang the Zereth translators couldn't keep up with. It was not war. It was something quieter, harder to crush -compliance. Maya Reynolds had joined Dr. Elias Chen in the underground bunker 2 weeks after the invasion began. Together, they worked on understanding the alien communication system. Chen believed that by using the same frequencies, they could send messages that would be heard not just by the Zereth commanders, but by their soldiers as well. Late one night, while the rest of the team slept, Maya leaned back in her chair, staring at the green glow of a radar screen. The alien ships still hovered over the world, unmoving. "They're not leaving," she muttered. "They can't," Chen replied, stepping into the room with a mug of tea. "If they leave without slaves, they'll look weak to the rest of their empire. Their power depends on fear," Maya thought. About that, the Zereth wanted labor, but they wanted obedience even more. What would happen if they couldn't get either? That's when the idea came to her. What if we pretend to obey, but give them nothing they can use? Chun's eyes lit up. A global slowdown. Quiet resistance. 2 days later, a new plan began to take shape. The bunker's radio teams contacted hidden groups around the world, telling them to work just enough to look cooperative, but to make everything fail in small, irritating ways. In India, alien storage pods began malfunctioning because humans loaded them incorrectly on purpose. In Argentina, alien mining drills were given the wrong fuel mixture, causing them to overheat. Even in the United States, the Zereth's giant transport platforms began arriving late because the humans misread their instructions. From orbit, the aliens saw humans moving and working, but results were painfully slow. Vorak grew restless. He issued new orders, double the collection speed. But doubling the orders only doubled the mistakes. One afternoon, Maya was chosen to deliver a sealed container to the alien ship stationed above Los Angeles. She knew it was mostly was a sample of Earth soil, a gift the Zereth had requested to study. But she also knew Dr. Chen had hidden something else inside. When she reached the designated landing pad, a smaller alien craft descended. Its surface shimmered like liquid metal, reshaping into an open platform. 2 tall figures stepped out. Their armor was sleek and curved, their faces hidden behind masks with glowing slits for eyes. One of them stepped forward and took the container from her hands without a word. As he turned away, Maya spoke in a calm, even voice. "You'll never understand this planet by taking its dirt." The alien paused. Slowly, he turned his head toward her. For a moment, they simply looked at each other, human and Zereth, 2 beings from different worlds. Then he spoke, his voice deep and quiet, not like Vorek's harsh tone. "You resist." Maya shrugged. "We live." The alien didn't reply, but there was something in his stanza, hesitation. And then he left, vanishing into the craft's shimmering doorway. Back in the bunker, Chen revealed what had been hidden inside the soil container. A small device broadcasting a message in every human language, repeated endlessly. The message was simple: "We are not afraid." Chen smiled when he confirmed the signal had been detected by at least 3 alien ships. Even if they shut it down, some of them will have heard it. That night, Maya sat alone, listening to the faint hum of the alien fleet above. She thought about the soldier she had met, the one who paused before speaking. If even one alien could feel doubt, maybe more could. The Resistance didn't have guns or fleets, but it had something the Zereth didn't: patience. And as the days passed, the aliens began to realize that taking Earth might not be as simple as they thought. The Zereth could conquer worlds. They could strip planets of their resources, crush armies in days, and erase cities with a single command. But there was one thing they had never learned: to understand human kindness without weakness. It was Dr. Elias Chen who came up with the next step in the Resistance. If they think kindness is weakness, let's show them kindness they can't explain, he said, leaning over a table crowded with radio maps. Maya looked at him, doubtful. "You want us to be nice to them?" "Not nice," Chen corrected. "Human." The plan began with an unexpected request to Vorak himself, an invitation for a cultural exchange. It was sent using the aliens' own diplomatic frequency, signed by a coalition of Earth's leaders. The message promised no weapons, no tricks, only a meeting where humans would share stories, music, and food. At first Vorak ignored it, but after 3 days, the reply came. The Zereth leader would attend, bringing a small group of his highest officers. The meeting was arranged in the Great Hall of a former university in Switzerland, one of the few places left untouched by the alien presence. The windows overlooked snowy mountains, their peaks glowing under winter sunlight. Long tables were set with simple cloths, bowls of fruit, bread, and steaming dishes from different parts of the world. Maya stood among a handful of chosen representatives: scientists, artists, teachers, and farmers. Each carried something that spoke of their home: a violin, a handmade quilt, a painting, a loaf of fresh bread. When the Zereth arrived, the air in the hall seemed to grow heavier. Vorak entered first, towering above the humans, his pale gray skin shining under the lights. His officers followed, their armor gleaming like polished stone. The aliens did not sit. They did not touch the food. They only looked, their glowing eyes scanning the room. Maya stepped forward, holding a small wooden box. She opened it, revealing a simple seashell, white and smooth. "This is from the Pacific coast," she said. "It's been shaped by water for thousands of years. We keep things like this because they remind us we're part of something bigger." Vorak didn't respond, but one of the soldiers behind him tilted his head, almost curious. A farmer from Kenya spoke next, telling the story of how his village worked together during droughts, sharing the little water they had so no one would be left behind. A teacher from Brazil played a short song on a guitar, her voice carrying warmth even in the cold hall. Finally, Maya noticed the same soldier she had met before, the one who had taken the soil container, standing near the back. His helmet was off this time, revealing a face with sharp features and faint silver lines across his skin. His name, she would later learn, was Serik. As the teacher's song ended, Serik's gaze lingered on the guitar. His eyes flickered just a small change, but enough for Maya to see it. After the stories came the food. Humans moved easily between tables, offering plates to the Zereth officers. Most refused, but one young officer accepted a piece of bread after a long pause. He took a cautious bite, as if expecting it to burn him. When it didn't, he looked surprised. The aliens had come expecting fear, or desperate attempts to bargain. Instead, they saw people smiling, laughing softly, and speaking to them as if they were guests, not conquerors. Vorek's expression didn't change, but Maya could tell he was uncomfortable. Kindness was harder to fight than weapons. There was no defense for it in the Tsarist Cold Empire. As the meeting ended, the aliens turned to leave, but Sarek lingered for a moment, stepping close to Maya. His voice was low, meant for her. Alone. You give us these things, not because you must. Why? Maya met his eyes. Because this is what we are. We share. Even with those who don't understand us. For a second, Sarek said nothing. Then, without another word, he followed his commander out of the hall. That night, back in the bunker, Chen couldn't hide his smile. They didn't expect it. They don't know what to do with it. Maya sat down, tired but hopeful. If even one of them starts to see us as more than tools, that's the beginning. Above the mountains, the alien ships still hung in the sky, like silent threats. But now, somewhere inside those ships, there were soldiers who had heard human songs, tasted human bread, and seen that strength didn't always mean domination. The lesson had been given. Whether the Zareth would learn it or be broken by it was yet to be seen. The Zareth ships still hung above the cities like silent judges, but something was changing. It began with the smallest of things. A glance held too long, a question spoken in private, a hesitation before carrying out an order. Maya had noticed it during the cultural exchange. The soldier named Sarek had looked at her not like she was an enemy, but like she was something else. And now, just a week later, she saw the signs spreading. In New Delhi, alien patrols walked slower, their eyes following human street performers instead of scanning for resistance. In Paris, an alien officer was seen accepting a handmade scarf from a child, folding it carefully instead of discarding it. In São Paulo, 2 alien soldiers were caught listening to music from a cafe, not moving until the song ended. The Z had trained for war, for control, for fear. They had never trained for curiosity. One evening, as snow fell outside the bunker in Switzerland, Dr. Chen called Maya over to his monitor. "Look at this," he said, pointing to a coded report they had intercepted from the Zareth communications. The message wasn't in the usual cold, direct tone. It was almost unsettled. Morale among lower units is unstable. Cultural contamination possible. Recommend increased isolation from local populations. Maya read the lines twice. Cultural contamination. That's their word for learning. Chen grinned. Seems so. A few days later, Maya's communicator buzzed. It wasn't a human signal, it was alien. She hesitated before answering. "You will meet me," a voice said in a low tone. She recognized it instantly. Sarek. The location he gave was dangerous. A quiet street on the edge of a small Swiss village. Away from cameras and patrols. Still, she went. That night, she found him standing beneath a single street lamp. Snowflakes, clinging to the silver lines on his skin. His armor was gone. He wore a plain black uniform, making him look less like a soldier and more like a man. "I don't have much time," he said. "I shouldn't even be here." "Then why are you?" Maya asked. Sarek's eyes searched hers. "You said you share, even with those who don't understand why? What do you gain?" Maya folded her arms. "We gain nothing. That's the point. Some things you give because they make the world better, not because they make you richer." He was silent for a moment, the cold air turning his breath to mist. "Our empire does not think this way. We take, we own, we do not give." "Maybe that's why your empire is falling apart," Maya said softly. Sarek's gaze flickered. "You don't know how right you are." Before she could ask more, Sarek stepped closer, his voice even lower. "The reason we came here, not just for labor. Our own homeworld is dying. Our people are tired. We are told to believe that strength comes from control, But I'm starting to think you are strong in another way. Maya's heart pounded. This was the truth Chen had suspected, spoken by one of the aliens themselves. Then why serve a leader who only takes breaks? She asked. Sarek's jaw tightened. Because we are told we have no choice. Maya looked at him steadily. We always have a choice. He stepped back, glancing toward the sky, as if someone might be watching. I must go, but I will remember this. And then, without another word, he disappeared into the falling snow. Back in the bunker, Maya told Chen everything. He listened without interrupting, his expression serious. If one soldier knows the truth, others do too. And if enough of them doubt, Vorak's control weakens. Maya sat down, feeling both hope and fear. The cracks in the Zareth's armor were real, but cracks could close, or they could split a whole empire apart. Outside, the night sky glowed faintly with the light of the alien ships. They were still there, still watching, but somewhere inside those cold metal walls, seeds of doubt were growing, and Maya knew exactly what she had to do next. Make sure those seeds took root. Asterisk snow still covered the streets outside the bunker, but inside, the air was warm with quiet tension. Maya paced the small control room while Dr. Chen worked at his console, decoding a fresh batch of alien transmissions. His fingers flew over the keyboard, the green symbols on the screen shifting into letters they could read. When he stopped, his face went pale. Maya, I think I've found it. The real reason they're here? Maya stepped closer, scanning the translated lines. It was a report from the Zareth High Command, not meant for Earth's ears. Primary objective, secure. Replacement labor force. Homeworld resource collapse approaching critical threshold. Worker shortage, destabilizing empire stability. Human physiology suitable for sustained production. Acquisition imperative. Maya felt her chest tighten. They're desperate. Chen nodded. Their empire is falling apart. They need us not just to work, they need us to survive. The truth changed everything. Vorak had spoken like a conqueror, but in reality, he was a leader standing on a crumbling foundation. That meant one thing. The Zareth's power was not infinite. Chen leaned back in his chair. If their people knew the truth that they're invading because they're weak, it could shatter them from the inside. Maya stared at the screen. Then we tell them. Getting a message into the Zareth communication network was nearly impossible. Their encryption was layered, constantly shifting, but Chen had been studying it for weeks, and now he had Sarek, a soldier who might be willing to help. That night, Maya activated the alien communicator Sarek had given her. A soft hum filled the air before his voice came through, cautious as always. Why are you contacting me? Because I know why you're here, Maya said. And I think your people deserve to know too. There was a long silence. When Sarek spoke again, his tone was lower, heavier. If you speak this truth openly, you will make yourself a target. Maybe, Maya said, but it might also make you free. They worked quickly. Sarek sent her an access code that would temporarily open a direct channel into the Zareth's internal networks. Chen prepared a short broadcast images of human life, from crowded markets to children laughing, from farmers working fields to scientists in clean labs. Over the images, Chen added a simple voiceover in the alien tongue. We are not your tools. We are not your slaves. You come here because you are weak, because you have forgotten how to live without taking from others. We will not give you what you seek. When the transmission began, it wasn't sent to Earth. It was sent directly into the Zareth fleet, bouncing from ship to ship, impossible to stop before every crew had seen it. In the cities below, humans looked up as alien ships shifted in formation. No weapons fired. No beams of light cut through the sky, but something was happening. On one ship above New York, 2 alien soldiers argued in the corridors, their voices carrying down the metallic halls. One demanded to know if the message was true. The other had no answer. In another ship above Tokyo, an officer shut himself in his quarters, replaying the images over and over. Maya and Chen watched from the bunker, the screens showing intercepted chatter growing more chaotic. "It's spreading," Chen whispered. "They can't stop it." But not everyone in the Zereth ranks was willing to listen. The next morning, Vorak himself appeared on every screen, his voice sharper than ever. "Humans spread lies to divide us. Do not listen. The Empire stands strong." Yet, even as he spoke, Maya noticed the faint strain in his voice, the way his eyes shifted slightly, as if he knew the words weren't enough. Later that day, Sarek contacted Maya again. This time, there was something different in his tone. "Some of us are questioning. Some are. Remembering that our people once lived without conquest. That's how change starts," Maya said quietly. Sarek hesitated before speaking again. "You've done something dangerous, Maya Reynolds. You've made them think." Maya smiled faintly. "Good. That was the plan." The alien fleet still hung in the skies, but something invisible had shifted. The Zereth had come for slaves, but now they faced an enemy far more dangerous than weapons. Truth. And Maya knew that once truth began to spread, no empire could fully control it. For days, the alien fleet hung motionless over Earth. The giant shadows they cast across cities had become part of daily life. People still looked up, but now their gazes carried less fear and more defiance. Inside the Zereth command ship, Vorak paced across the dark metal floor of his throne room. Reports from his officers were troubling. Discipline among the troops was slipping. Soldiers were asking questions. Some had even begun quietly refusing minor orders, and all of it had started after the human broadcast. "You will silence them," Vorak growled at his chief advisor, but the advisor lowered his head. "We have tried." The words spread too quickly. "Some believe them." Vorak's jaw tightened. He had come to this small blue world expecting an easy victory, a new labor force to save his crumbling empire. Instead, he found a planet that refused to bend, even without weapons. In the bunker beneath the Swiss mountains, Maya sat with Dr. Chen, listening to intercepted alien chatter. The change was undeniable. Orders were being questioned. Alien patrols were thinning, and the once cold tone of Zereth communications was now laced with frustration. "It's working," Chen said quietly. "They can't hold control when their own people are losing faith." Maya exhaled slowly. "Now we wait to see if they leave." The decision came sooner than either of them expected. At dawn, a strange sound rippled across the Skiza, deep thrumming hum that vibrated through the air. People stepped out of their homes, staring upward as the alien ships began to shift position. For the first time since their arrival, the fleet was moving not toward Earth, but away. One by one, the massive vessels turned, their glowing engines igniting like small suns. The shadows over the cities began to shrink as the ships rose higher, into the clouds. In New York, crowds filled the streets, cheering and waving as the massive craft pulled away. In Nairobi, people climbed onto rooftops, raising their fists toward the retreating silhouettes. In Tokyo, strangers hugged each other, tears of relief streaming down their faces. But not all the ships left at once. Above Los Angeles, the smaller craft that had visited Maya before descended toward a quiet field. The landing ramp lowered, and Sarek stepped out. He walked toward her without his helmet, the cold wind brushing against the silver lines on his skin. "It is over," he said simply. Maya searched his face. "Is it? Or will your empire just find another world to take?" Sarek hesitated, his eyes lowering. "Some will, but others will remember this place. We will remember that there is another way to live." He reached into a pouch at his side and pulled out a small thin device, no bigger than her palm. "This will let you send a signal to me, directly. If your people ever wish to speak to mine without leaders in the way, use it." Maya took the device, its surface warm against her fingers. Why give this to me? Because you showed me something our empire forgot, Sarek said. Strength that comes from giving, not taking. They stood there for a moment in the cold morning light. Then Sarek turned and walked back to his craft. As the ramp closed, he raised one hand in a gesture she didn't recognize, half salute, half farewell. The ship rose into the air, joining the others as they disappeared into the clouds. By nightfall, the sky was empty again. Stars shone where warships had once hung. The world felt lighter, though no one could quite believe it yet. In the bunker, Chen leaned back in his chair, a rare smile on his face. We did it without firing a single shot. Maya looked at the small device in her hand, its soft glow reflecting in her eyes. Maybe this is just the first chapter. Outside, in cities and villages across the globe, people celebrated not just the departure of the aliens, but the unity they had found in resisting together. For the first time in history, Earth had stood as one. And somewhere, far beyond the edge of sight, the Zereth carried their shame into the stars. Far beyond the moon, the Zereth fleet drifted in silent retreat. Inside the Grand Command ship, Vorak stood before the High Council's holographic chamber. The towering figures of the council members flickered in the air, their expressions cold and sharp. "You failed," one of them said, their voice echoing in the chamber. Vorak's jaw tightened. The humans were more resistant than expected. Resistant? Another counselor scoffed. You returned with no labor, no resources, nothing but empty hands. You promised victory. Vorak had no defense. Every word they spoke was true. His empire had faced countless worlds, but never one that fought without fighting, never one that broke them without weapons. On Earth, life was slowly returning to normal. The skies were clear again, and for the first time in weeks, sunlight fell across the cities without the shadow of alien ships. Yet something had changed in the hearts of humanity. People spoke to strangers more easily. Neighbors who had never shared more than a polite nod now stopped to talk. Different nations that had once looked at each other with suspicion now shared information freely. The invasion had not just been resisted, it had united the planet. Maya Reynolds walked through a busy market in Geneva, the air filled with the sound of different languages blending together. She passed a group of children drawing chalk pictures. On the pavement, bright suns, smiling faces, and, in the corner, a large ship flying away. Dr. Chen joined her, carrying a bag of fresh bread. "It's strange," he said, "how quickly people can go back to living, but also how they never quite go back to how things were before." Maya smiled faintly. "Good. Some things shouldn't go back." Far across the galaxy, not all Zereth took the defeat quietly. In hidden corners of their empire, whispers spread stories of Earth, the planet that would not kneel. Some told the story with anger, calling humans dangerous and arrogant. Others told it with wonder, speaking of a species that gave freely and stood together. Sarek was among the latter. Back on his homeworld, he kept the memory of the snow-covered field where he had handed Maya the small device. When his fellow soldiers asked why he looked different, he only said, "I saw something better than conquest." Weeks later, on a quiet evening, Maya sat by the shore of Lake Geneva. The water reflected the pale light of the moon, calm and still. She took the small alien device from her pocket, turning it over in her hand. It pulsed faintly, as if waiting. She thought about using it, sending a message into the void. Not to demand, not to threaten, but simply to say, "We're still here." But tonight, she only set it beside her, listening to the gentle lapping of the waves. The stars above felt closer now, not because the aliens had come, but because she knew they would come again someday. In the halls of the Zereth High Council, Vorak's name became a warning. In training academies, young officers were told, "Do not underestimate the small worlds. Do not mistake kindness for weakness." The invasion of Earth was written in their history as one of the greatest disgraces the Empire had ever suffered. They had come for slaves. They had left with nothing but shame. On Earth, the story was told differently. In classrooms, children learned about the time when the sky turned dark, and how the world answered not with weapons, but with unity. In music and art, the invasion became a symbol of hope, proof that even the smallest voice could change the course of history. Maya knew the danger wasn't gone. Somewhere out there, other empires might be watching, wondering if Earth was worth the risk. But she also knew the truth. They could come with fleets, they could come with threats, but they would never take what mattered most. Humanity's spirit could not be conquered. Late that night, Maya picked up the alien device again. She pressed her thumb to its surface, and a soft light spread across it. To anyone listening, she said, her voice steady, "This is Earth. We remember." She didn't know if the signal would reach Sarek or vanish into the stars, but it didn't matter. Somewhere, someone would hear, and when they did, they would know the truth.